There are calls this morning for a public inquiry into allegations of abuse of disabled people living in care. Disability advocate groups have claimed that physical and sexual abuse is widespread.
They've blamed poor staff training and a culture of cover-ups. The parents of one man allegedly abused in care has told Lateline their complaints to authorities have been ignored.
My son's been violated, my son's been beaten, and my son's been neglected. When we made the disclosure, and to this date, which is a period of 12 or 13 years, no support has been offered to Paula or myself or the children from the Department of Human Services.
Staff that complained and were spoken to by Uralla management and, as people have said, patted on the head, thanked for bringing it to management attention, and then very quickly told, well, we wouldn't want this to get out, would we?
Kevin Stone is the spokesman for the advocacy group Valid, and he joins us now in the studio. Good morning. Thanks for giving us your time this morning. Can you just tell us some of the stories that your organisation has heard about?
Well, not only heard about, we deal with these issues on a daily basis. Not a week goes by that we haven't had a case come to us of either physical or sexual abuse. Often those cases are reported by staff in organisations who see stuff happening and either feel too intimidated to take it up further up the line, and in some cases, particularly over the last couple of weeks, actually feel physically threatened by other stronger, more powerful staff members.
That Lateline report highlighted truly obscene, truly sickening cases of abuse. The problem is that it was abuse against people who literally often can't speak up.
Well, they can't speak up in the way that you and I might speak up about such an offence, but they speak up with their behaviour, the trauma, often over decades in the case of Peter and Paula's son. And the system is so, to use a politically incorrect term, blind to that sort of trauma. It just continues, and the system exploits that neglect. Because
we're talking about some of society's most vulnerable people.
We certainly are. We're talking about people often with autism, with intellectual disability, with disabilities that make it impossible for them to actually say no to the staff member who comes into their bedroom late at night and wants to do things to them. It makes it difficult for them to actually feel confident to speak up. Even if they are able to speak up, often it's this sense of, what's the word? That they are not worthy, that they don't have rights. There's this lack of understanding amongst many people who've been particularly institutionalised over many years, that they're just the same as you and me, that they actually have rights. And if you come to believe that about yourself, then, you know, people can do anything to you, and you just think, well, that's your lot in life. And it's a disgusting state of affairs.
Absolutely, and the system is letting these people down. What more needs to be done here to stop this behaviour happening? Well,
look, certainly we support Peter Cross's call for a Royal Commission, certainly a national inquiry into the state of disability services. We've had the Productivity Commission look at the unmet need in disability services, and that's been a very worthy initiative. The National Disability Insurance Scheme promises to increase the number of services available to meet unmet demand, but there's been very little discussion about the quality of services and the fact that even in a state like Victoria, which is relatively well funded and relatively well organised, we have these appalling conditions. So we think that if we're seriously as a nation going to build a better disability service system, we should be doing a real good study of what's actually going on out there right now and doing something about it. Staff training, recruitment, screening. But I want to say this. The most fundamental change that needs to occur is that this community, this society and governments need to actually respect people with disability and their voice and their experience and the experience of their families. They are the ones out there who are experiencing this stuff, and their voice is usually the one that's least actually responded to. You know, we're sick of that, and so we were very, very heartened to see last night Peter and Paula speaking up as parents. But I'd also, for people who didn't see the Lateline report, I'd want to strongly commend and congratulate Grant a person with disability who lived in one of those houses where these things have been occurring. It's his voice, the voice of people with disability, that need to be in the forefront.
Are these incidents being underreported to authorities because people feel as though they're not going to get an appropriate response?
Well, look, there's certainly been reports and studies demonstrating that the more you go out there and actually look into this, the more cases that actually come up. We can't go out there and talk to people without people coming up to us and disclosing stuff that they've been sitting on, often for years, for the lack of confidence to actually speak up. And I have to say this too, often because they don't feel that the police are equipped or have the sufficient skill to be able to really respond to the issues.
Kevin Stone, we thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.